Nunnsense is brought to you by Fresh from Florida.
I can still remember calling my buddy Kevin and, hey, Kevin, what are you having for dinner tonight? Hopefully it was meatloaf, mashed potato, or number 2, meatloaf and macaroni and cheese. And the only reason I would call, Mom and Dad were both good cooks, but sometimes these things would come sneaking into the dinner table. I'm talking Brussels sprouts. And for the longest time, I thought this gooey, green, flavorless block of frozen mass was, it was pretty much just a doorstop in my opinion. But then I discovered these. Brussels sprouts, fresh, good, tasty, and not at all like that box stuff. So that's what we're going to dig into coming up here on Culinary Nunnsense, and just maybe I might change your mind when it comes to the Brussels sprout. Now, instead of just opening up the box and flashing them in a microwave for 30 or 40 seconds, however long they cook for, it does take a little bit more work to get to the good stuff in the Brussels sprouts. Basically, all you're going to do, trim away the dead end. These grow on a big stalk, and sometimes you'll see them at some of the grocery stores still on the stalk. Just like you would on a regular piece of lettuce, you're going to remove the outer leaves that are looking a bit disheveled and kind of dried out. So one more time, we're going to trim off the end. Usually when we do this, when you trim off the end, the outer leaves, the older ones, just fall right off. If not, it makes it pretty easy to peel away, snap, and move on to the next one. We got a whole bunch to do here before we get to the next critical part, and that's going to be blanching. Yes, I know there's an extra step, but it really matters not only for the flavor, but also for the color. And remember, we eat a lot with our eyes. Whenever I cook Brussels sprouts at one of my cooking classes and I ask people, why don't you like them? The number one reason is people say they taste bitter. And I always say, listen, if you've been eating them out of a frozen box, you would be bitter too if you were frozen that long. We're going to help to get rid of some of that edge. It's still going to have that Brussels sprout flavor, but we're going to get rid of the bitterness that a lot of people associate with them. And we're also going to liven up the color. How are we going to do that? We're going to give them a bath. A really hot bath. We're going to blanch them. This is going to do a couple of things. It'll help to reduce the cooking time, and since we eat a lot with our eyes, it's also going to give them that vibrant color. So under my in my boiling water, I have added about 3 pinches of salt, and to my salted boiling water, in go my Brussels sprouts for about 20-30 seconds or so. Remember, we're blanching, not boiling. We just want to pop them in there to get that effect right there. Look how green they've become. This is what I'm talking about when you're eating with your eyes. Already it looks like something that is a little bit better looking than its previous version, where they're kind of pale looking. With that bright green color locked in, we're going to just pop them in a colander over a little pan here, and I'm going to let the liquid, the water in this case, drain from these. So the color's locked in. Some of that bitterness is going to be reduced due to the blanching. I'm going to let them cool. Now, technically blanching, they should go in an ice bath, but I'm just going to let these cool naturally since they're going to be roasted, and then I'll season them before they go in the oven. And I'm roasting them because, believe it or not, there is some sugar in the Brussels sprouts, and by roasting it, we're going to allow that sugar to start to work. It's going to get some caramelization. That gives us, again, another look, but it also tells us that there may be something sweet hiding in what so many people think are bitter. We're also going to enhance that sweet flavor with this right here. Brussels sprouts, best friend. Bacon, beat Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts, beat bacon. Our Brussels sprouts have quit drip drying, so we'll pop those into the bowl. To that, we're going to add just a little bit of olive oil. We can always go back and add more. We want just enough so that the next bit here will stick to it. And that's going to be just the simplest of ingredients. Some salt, and some freshly cracked pepper. Toss to combine, and then onto a baking sheet. Give them some room in between here so you can get the heat to go all the way through. But remember, we want to caramelize these, and that means we need to add a little bit of brown to them. From there, into an oven. I know you're thinking, wait, what about the bacon? The bacon's going to play catch up, but right now, it's about the Brussels sprouts. Preheated oven, 350 degrees. We're going to pop our Brussels sprouts in the middle to top third, and we're going to set our timer here for 15 minutes. I know you're thinking, what about the bacon? It goes in 15 minutes. Oh yeah, look at that. All right, so we talked about the caramelization. just from the heat and just the olive oil, you can see the brown spots that are already forming. This is why we're going to get out, shake the pan a little bit, and now the olive oil is pretty much evaporated. So we're going to add some other fat. In this case, it's going to be the bacon. Adding the bacon that's been diced in and around and on the Brussels sprouts. This is going to finish cooking, by the way. It's just 2 slices of good bacon. And that fat will help to continue the cooking process of our tasty Brussels sprouts. Back in the oven for about another 15 minutes. Notice the color from the roasting. There's not a lot of sugar in the Brussels sprouts, but through some nice slow roasting, you can get them to caramelize, and that just adds to the flavor. And not only that, look at the inside here. You can still tell it's a Brussels sprout. That's because we blanched them. That's going to help to lock in the color. It's also going to get rid of some of that bitterness. And let's face it, we're going to add the bacon, and that's also going to help to take it up another level. Stay away from that boxed, gooey, frozen, colorless, bad flavored stuff, and get yourself some Brussels sprouts, whether they're in the bag or they're on the stalk. Give them a little time in the oven. Give them a little love with some bacon. And I think when you do, and you roast your Brussels sprouts, you too will be saying, when it comes to this thing that we ran from as kids, now, with a little bacon, a little blanching, and a little love, there is none better.